In this tutorial, we'll go from that responsive website that we've done previously using Grid, HTML5, CSS3, and Media Query to make it responsive. And we will adapt the work to create that particular website, showcasing Humans of New York series. And what we will be doing is we will be adapting the rules, and we will be adding JavaScript to those and CSS animation interactivity. So this will show how to adapt a particular layout into another layout and make it also, of course, responsive, and adapting our jQuery statement, creating hamburger menu, and complex layout and responsive grid. We'll be using VS Studio Code for that. So there we go. So if you're not at your first experience, you've noticed that order is very important when you do a website. Everything needs to be at the same places. So if I'm taking another website to create a new website, I'll create a new folder, just, I don't know, next to it. Let's say I'll name that Assistant 5 here. And if I want to get inspired by another website, or I want another website to be the base route for that, I'm gonna see, like, first you gotta create your wireframe. I won't go through that right now. Flowchart maybe, and then of course, you know, there's the assets, the image here. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to take the images from your new website, your new assignment, and look out if they are at the right size. So for instance, those images are fairly big. So if I want to put this in the grid, maybe very small, there's no reasons so that is that big. So yeah, so you open Photoshop and you optimize those images and you put them at the right side. Then you create a folder assets here, and you put all of your assets at your right format in your new folder. Okay, so let's say it's been done here. Then of course I need the text here, I need my script in my new folder. I can create a new folder called script, for instance, for that here, and put my script into that. So, you know, you build your new folder based on your old folder. Then of course, you know, there's the HTML and the CSS of your old website. So you've done your wireframe. Say you will take your pages that it's more complex and that respond more to your new assignment, your new website. So let's say I'm picking this one here. So I'm gonna take these pages here, I'm gonna copy it in my new folder, and of course the CSS here. Okay, then you test the whole thing. If I'm opening my web page I want to get inspired with, of course my images won't be there. I only see my alternate text instead of my images, and I only see my text, and I have placeholder images because of course, you know, the assets that will be there are new assets at the right format for that. Then only then, you know, you have your folder, you know where it is, everything is there. Really important that everything is there. You open Visual Studio Code and you open those files. Don't go and open those files separately. If you use Visual Studio Code, better off go File, Open Folder, and just go on your desktop here and open what you just created with all of your files, your inspiration of files, your template, you may say, and your assets and your script. You know, and then just once you get there, you will take this page, which you'll get inspire, and we'll rename it, and this will be my index.html. And now I'm ready to code. Let's go first with the easy stuff, images and text. So place my content here. I have my index here. Let me split my pages so I can put my text on one and my content on the other one. So yeah, so first the metadata. So of course, you know, you will customize the metadata. So yeah, so my title, my website title will be will be that here, Humans of New York instead of Ocean Vuong. Description, well, you know, explore the work of blah, 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 blah. Customize that to this particular work. Just personalize what is the content about for your social media title, for your social media also description tag. So I won't do this extensively here to save time. Author, you have to put your name, student project, blah, blah, blah. Here, default.css, yeah, because my CSS is still the same. I'll be using the same CSS, so that's cool. And my viewport with device initial scale 1 so that I can have my media query at the end. That's good. Okay. Now the menu here. So on all of the pages I will have on my content those menu here. If I just see the final results, story, series, and about, only stories and about will be done in this website. So let me go ahead and have those replaced. So instead of home, I will have story, which will be my home page. So it will lead to my index.html, even though my title is story. And then series instead of bio, and then about instead of work here. Then I can customize my pages. This I will have to look at my sitemap that I would have done prior to that. So you do a sitemap, whether it is quick or something. So in your sitemap, you have your titles for your pages. Let's say it's something like that. And yeah, so that's good. In between all of those, no, that's okay. I don't have any bar, so I'll leave it like that. It's in the nav, seems proper for that. There's a logo here. We'll come later on and add it. And there's my text here. So let me go ahead and see what I can replace in terms of the text. So my H1 is Humans of New York. So let me replace my H1 here by Humans of New York. I don't have a H2, so I will just get rid of that here. And I have a long text here. I have 2 paragraphs. So let me see, where are they? That seems to be in my header. So inside of my header, I'll create a paragraph because in that particular page, I didn't have any paragraph here. So let me go ahead and put 1 paragraph. And I have what, 2 paragraphs, so I'll just copy and paste my 2 paragraph here, and then first paragraph will be copy and paste in my first paragraph, and then my second paragraph I'll copy and paste here, my second paragraph here. All right. Now in my pages, I have a grid here, depending on what you've done in your wireframe. The grid will be formatted in the CSS, but it will consist on 12 images. So what you do is you will replace all of the images that are there by your particular images for this particular work. They are in the folder assets, yes. So I can replace, instead of emperor, of course, it will be another image. So let's say I go by alphabetical order. So instead of emperor, I'll go with American pageant here. And the title of the file will be also the alt text here, American pages. I'll just remove the underscore, which was put there for an easy formatting. And then the fig caption will be the result of the fig caption will be the result of the title of the images. Just notice that I have an alternate text for accessibility. Okay, so far this is what I have. I placed all of my images here. I've put the right fig caption underneath them. I've removed my hero image because it was not there in my original concept. Okay, so now there's few things here to add. So first off, you know, there's a logo here. My 3 navigation items are on top of my pages, and there's the layout makes it that there's a space all around and that my big content, my wrapper, is center. So let me format my pages that way here in my HTML first. So what I need to do first is I will need to see where is my wrapper in my code in my previous website. So in my previous website, my navigation was aside from my wrapper. What I'll do is I'll simply put my wrapper and put it in top of my pages. So like that sometimes, so like that everything is in my wrapper. Sometimes Visual Studio Code create a closing div when I do something like that, so I'll just remove it. So I have my wrapper, I just make sure that it embraces the whole thing. How you do that, if you click on the opening tag, it should highlight your end tag, and if you click on your end tag, it should highlight your opening tag. So now my three items are on my wrapper, so that should be good here. So let me check here. What do I have so far? Let me just refresh that pages. So there we go. My navigation pages is on top of my pages along with my content. So I'll fix that later on CSS, because now I have a particular CSS for my page and my wrapper. So I'll fix the CSS later. Let me just fix the HTML first. So just next to my navigation, I had a logo, and I had also media social icon at the bottom that I will need to put in my HTML before I go and format all that. Prefer to always go with my HTML all along, and then just go with the CSS, you know, because all of the stuff will be there to format. So my logo, how will I go to that? Well, first, where is my logo? My logo is just, it's in my navigation, and it's previous to my three navigation items. So I'll just create a div simply like that. I'll create a div because, you know, I want to put my logo somewhere, and there's not a semantic tag for logo specifically. I'll name this div logo like that here. Just make sure that you don't have a CSS that's already named logo. But anyway, we'll see later in the CSS. Sometimes when you use template, because that tutorial could also be good if you buy a template online and you want to customize it. So, you know, you check that out. Now in my div, what do I put? Well, I put an image. So let me go EMG src, because I need to put the source of that image. So what is it named? It's named logo. Simply, oh, it's an assets, of course, and it's named logo. How do I know I made a mistake? By writing logo right away, because it didn't pop up, didn't populate, you know. So if normally if you type your images path accordingly to your folder, it should pop like the name of the folder. So you should not have to write logo.png. It should find it by himself. Okay, so here's my images. So now my images populate in my HTML pages. Let's see. Yes, my logo is here on top of that. Sometimes, you know, it's good in the image tag, you know. Let me just introduce you to that. So first, you know, you want to put an alternate text, because, you know, visually impaired, logo of the humans of New York, humans of New York. Here, let me just go logo of the humans of New York project, which is a great project, by the way, that I got inspiration for that. It's not my project, of course, it's an existing project. And then next to the alternative text here, it's preferable if you write the width and the height of the image the way you wanted it. So, you know, you just open Photoshop. It's just that because when it is written in the HTML right away, it will create space for that in the document object model, and it will be better. Sometimes, you know, you have a problem of text overlapping images or partly overlapping the images because the width and the height is not it's not there. Okay, so let's go with that. So that's okay for now for the HTML. Now I will have to go and put my social icon in the bottom of that. So my social icon, yeah, it's some complication. Let me explain that to you further on. So my social icon here, and they're not images that I load. I could have like small icons with images, but it's pretty complicated and it will be like quirky to format. So there's another system for that. It's like using a font. So yeah, so it's called Font Awesome. And Font Awesome is just a library of several icons. There like a lot of, there's icon for everything. So you just go, you start for free here, you follow the instruction and they send you the kit. And the thing is that those icons are online, okay? So you need to have the link to go there and download the icon. So let me go quick with you there because I have my link here. So first thing first, you gotta have this this link here. Let me put it for you here. I have a link here. I'll give it to you because there's several versions of that library. So yes, so here's one link here. So if I go and I put this link here, what it do here is it load a style sheet. So it's really like, it's based on CSS drawing canvas. So it draw an icon like as a web font on your folder because all of the icons are on this particular link. So I just put this version because I know it's free. Some version are premium, need premium. So as soon as I put that link here, I'm able to call the icon. How? Well, let me explain it to you. So I'll go in my footer and I'll create a new div for that because you know my icons are on one line. If I look here, my icons are one line, and then I have my credit on another line. So that will be in one div. That will be on a on another div. So like that, I have two blocks because my icon will be in line because I want them to be one next to each other. So let me go there. So I'll create in my footer a new div here that I'll name. Let me name it social here, puff here. So that create one div, and I'll create another div for my end of line credit here. So let me go div class and I'll call that one credit here. And I'll put all of my line here inside this div, just like that. So now I have my credit on one block and I have my social block that is created. So how do I call those? Okay, so they are a link, right? So I'll go href here. For the moment, I don't have the particular link. When you have your client, your folder, well, you know, let's say we put the Facebook link. Well, instead of the hashtag, of course, you'll go on Facebook, you open a page, you copy their address, their Facebook address, and you put it there. And inside of the link, there is nothing because it will be, well, it will be the icon. So I have to call the class. See, in this class, it's not me who decide, it's Font Awesome FA who decide how this is named. FA/Facebook, for instance, will go in their library, look for their Font Awesome icon for Facebook. So let me see here. See, there's my little F that came here. Of course, it's not formatted yet. I will format that in my future CSS. So it's pretty straightforward, you know. So like Facebook, YouTube here, it's always Font Awesome and then Font Awesome something. So Font Awesome Facebook, Font Awesome Instagram. Then let me paste it again. And then what should I put? Yes, I have Pinterest. They have most of the social network out there. So I have Snapchat. See, and you can find it because I've loaded in my workflow my library. Here we go. I need my Flickr. Okay, so now I have my HTML file. That is, my file is basically ready to format, because now I have my HTML that are okay. So I need my CSS to make it like the right font and the right format. So let's go to that step. So far we've been using font system, like font that are already installed in everybody's computer, like Arial or Courrier, Trebuchet, stuff like that. So there's much more font out there that we can use, but we just have to make sure that it's a web font. What is a web font? It's a font that it's like in my example here. It's a font that it's always available for my user to download. So I cannot tell my user, hey, go and download Helvetica for that website. No, it's not like that. I need a server with a font that is put on the server and available to everybody 24/7. So where is that? Well, there's several repositories for that. One of the most famous one is Google Font. So let's say, you know, I'll go with Roboto here. It's a pretty like common web font here. You have it's a wide family, several set. So if you want to get font, it's free to use. So you just go get font here, and yes, and then get embed code, and then you will have the embed code for Roboto. What I did right now is I have all of the set. I have all 14 styles. I could have, you know, just get only the set that I want, but let me just explain to you how this works. So let's say you have this here, you need a link here. So I'll copy that code here, and I'll go in my Visual Studio head, and as I did for same thing as I did for my font awesome, I just paste this this link here. So that makes it that this font here, it's available for my particular use here in my website, the same way as we use font awesome. And if I look at the link carefully, first, yeah, it says go in Google API. So go in Google API. So load the application of Google, we may say here. So pre-connect that, and then go to that particular address where my font is. And yeah, load this family, Roboto, and those sets. So I have italic, I have this weight, so I have bold, I have italic, so I have several sets that are available to me. So right now it's not doing it right now, you know, it's not doing it. I'm still with Arial because I have to format that in my CSS. So let's start with the CSS here. I will just open my CSS. So in font family for now, what do I have? I have Arial. Let's see what Google is saying about that. Still on my Google font pages, see, it helped me. It says, well, if you want to load Roboto here, here's how to do it. So don't copy this whole rule. This is just an example, okay? It's just an example of how you load that. So first you need to copy this first, font family, censor. Don't copy the whole thing there. Don't go copying the whole thing, okay? So I'll go here, I copy that. Okay, Roboto Flex. Font sizing, optical size, yeah, why not? Okay, so this will be the space in between the letter, the kerning. So yeah, okay, let's load that. Font weight, well, I don't need a particular font weight right now, but if I want a font weight for all of my, let's say I want all of my text to be in 900, okay? Be careful, don't let weight like that here. This is just an example, and I go 900 here, okay? So right away in my pages, in my example pages, I should be able to notice that this is it. My font was changed to Roboto because I apply that here with this font weight here and this font weight. What this, I think Google had something else to tell me here. Well, there's font style. Okay, so if I would like to have Illic, for instance, here, because remember in my link, it's not all of the font that have it, but I have Ital, so I can go with Illic here. Yes, Illic here. And if I send, well, it's not what I want, but just to show you that my whole text will be using the particular set that is Illic. So this is how you load subset. This is like variation, so it's it have to do with how the text is structured in that particular format or that particular format, because it's a flex, so it's a font that adapt. So let's load all of those glyphs, because let's say you have a O next to a E, it will load this particular like ligature. So because it's a font that adapt. So this is how basically you use Google Font. So I will not be using Illic, of course, for all of my text. In my example here, yeah, I'm using bold, so that's good here. I'm using bold. Then let's see. Okay, my H1 here. My H1 is fairly big. So I'll go in my H1. I have a rule already that I created in my previous work. So, I'll just be using that. My text align is on my final works on my left, not my right. So I'll go with left here. Here, poof, I save it. Font size here. Well, it was much more bigger than that, right? So I would say you could use M size 3M. 3M means 3 times the size of the M in that particular font. So let's say, do I have an M here? Yeah, it takes 1 M and it 3 times the use of that M. So I think it's more along the line of 5 here. So let's see if I reflect. Yeah, this is pretty good. So I have my Humans of New York in what I can also use, decimal in that. So I can go 4.5 M. So this will be like 4.5 M here. Then yeah, there was a margin bottom. So my margin bottom was slightly bigger than that. So I'll go in my H1 margin bottom and let me add something like 20 pixel here, and it's doing it for here. Yeah, okay. Now the thing is, for the whole thing here, it's on top of my text. So let's go if I can fix quickly this this header here. Because I have a nav class that has been formatted specifically. So let me check in my nav. What does it say? Okay, so there's margin and there's floating. Floating, this is the big thing here. That is not what I want in this particular format. So let me remove the floating. Margin, well, we can leave it there and we'll see if it fits us. The width of the nav, well, we'll see later on here, because it's not that, and it's not fixed neither here. So just right away, it will be a release. Here's my menu is not fixed. It's like just display static like normally. Then what makes it one on top of the other? It's because each of my item in my menu were, as block or display as block. Just let me remove that. And then that's it. Ta-da! It's not as block anymore. They are one on top of the other. Still, I would like to have my logo here and my my menu item there. So for that, I will have to format a particular item, which is the flexbox. So let me show you how to do this flexbox. So I would like to have my logo on the left and then all of those 3 items on the right. So the way that I will do that is I will use a flexbox or a grid. Let me use a grid in that particular instance. And I will use a grid. So I will need my 2 items. I'll need my logo in one div, and then I will need those 3 also in one other div, so that my grid treat that specifically and that also specifically. Okay, so let me create in the HTML for my menu here. Let me create one div for them here, div class. So let's say I will name that menu 1 because it's my first menu, and I'm going to put all of them in that here. Okay, so far I should not change anything. It's just that, you know, it sees my logo in one div and my blog here and on one other. Now what I need to do is I need to tell their parents, the parents of logo and the parents of menu 1, to display as grid. So that this is the nav, right? So I'll go display here and display as what? As a grid. Okay, so right away, okay, it should have changed. Let me just save that here, refresh. Oh yes, it's not displaying because I did not give any template for my grid. So I need to go and say, well, how is this grid? How will this grid be formatted? So grid template colon. Okay, so I would like to have my logo on the left. So the first thing that I wrote will be my first item. Okay, so my first item, let me give him like a lot of air, 60% of, you know, of the space available. And then, you know, one fraction of that for the other here. Okay, so let me save that and refresh here. So you see my logo is taking 60% of the space here. And then this other, those other items are taking the rest, right? Taking one fraction of what left, so which is 40% basically. And so that makes them stick over there. Now I need to format my menu itself because yes, it's okay. I could leave it like that, but I need some space around around that here. Okay, so in order to put some space around that, I will look for my CSS for my menu 1. So let me just go there, here. And that, yep, yes, here. So, oh, it's not there, that's why. Okay, yes, I haven't created a div because I just created. So dot menu 1, because it's me, I named that menu 1. Okay, so inside of that, my menu 1, I'll create a flexbox because flexbox, they're easy. They're easy to use, and it automatically create like some sort of a container where everything is in a cell. Every block is in a cell. Okay, so I'll go here, display flex, and then as I say, every block is in a cell. So I just have to go menu 1, A here, display as block. Why? Because the A, if I don't say that they are blocks, well, they display as inline. Now you see right away they just close together. Okay, so I will tell them to kind of take space, you know. So how do you do that? Well, I'll go with justify content that tell the flexbox content to kind of, you know, work around with the space around here. So if I go space around, this takes 60% of the space, right? And this div here, well, it used the rest. By using space around, it creates space around each item that is equivalent. That is so that they are equally spaced in the space that's around that is around them. Okay. Now it's like it's not centered, right? It's all on the left. What's that? Okay. Well, that's the wrapper. See, all of my websites in the wrapper. Let me find my wrapper here. What does my wrapper say in that particular example? Wrapper, where are you here? Wrapper, usually on top. This is why I like to have my my items, my CSS to be from top to bottom, so that way it's easy to find each of my item specifically. So my wrapper, what will I say? Well, first, you know, you're not floating because this is not what I want you. And are you taking 60% of the space? Well, it's more like 90%, right, of the space. Margin top, 50 pixels. okay, yes, sounds fairly good. Let's say I'm putting a little bit less, maybe 10 pixel. Okay, margin right. Well, no, this is the thing. I'll go with margin right, and I'll say auto here because I want this to be automatically, and I go with margin left, and I'll go auto. So that way, okay, my wrapper is centered here, okay, and on my left and on my right, it's 50% of the, it's like this amount of pixel. It's automatically formatted. Okay, so this is good. Now I have my wrapper properly formatted. You can have your own formatting. You can also go and format all of the block in your navigation here. There's some space that still remain. Let me see. If I want to understand, I could just go and inspect here. By inspecting, it will tell me why. You know, where is the space here? Okay, so, well, because of the nav, probably here. Oh yes, see, I have a margin left on my navigation. So using inspector, it's good because it tells you what to format and where, you know. So then I could just go back and go in my, where was that? It was in my nav. So let me just go find my nav. Oh yeah, I forgot to remove that here. Okay, so now we are ready to go with formatting whole thing individually, and next go with the grid and the bottom. Let's now work on that grid to create a Masonry grid. We'll bother about the hover text later on. So because right now what do I have is I have a grid that is fair, but that it's not a Masonry grid. So every block, every individual block is taking one cell in my 3-column grid, and we want more something like that. So let's see how could we do that. So I'll need to find my structure. So like now all of my images are in books, right? Okay, and then there's a class, okay, for each different individual figure that will allow me to have this format differently than this one if I want this one to take several columns or this one to take just one column, for instance. Okay, and then each of them have a common class em. So I've created I've created a class for each of my images that I will be using later on here, and I have a class for my hover text here. Okay, so that I will use in my scripting later on to create my hover. So let's go first. Let me find that grid here. Okay, it's a books. Okay, fair. We'll change the name later if we want. So it's 3-column. That's not what I want. I need more range because I need to be able to switch. So let's go with repeat. Repeat's easy for column formatting because let's say I want 12 column all equal. So I just go with 12 and 1 fraction. So it says that, okay, you know, it's whatever my grid is, it will be 12 columns. So right away, okay, if I refresh, I have a 12 column grid. Why 12? Well, it's something that we usually use in graphic design because it's easy to work with, and multiply by 4, multiply by 3, it's easy, you know. So okay, so I'll go. Now I have my 12-column grid and all of my images seem to be behaving okay. So I'll go and I'll create my Masonry grid. Okay, so let's say I want those images to take this amount of grid. So they're not taking just one grid, they're taking like several, like let's say this is divided by 12. Okay, so this will be taking 6 columns, this will be taking 3 columns, this will be taking another 3 columns, right? So how do I format that? Well, let me turn out this here, okay, because it will be easier for you to see here in my grid. Okay, here, let me just show you. Oh, okay, here. Yeah, it's not obvious, that's why. In my grid, see, it's divided into 12 columns. but the first one, it counts. Okay, so let me show you here. Okay, so my first column here, it's number 1, then it's number 2, then it's number 3, then it's number 4. Okay, so if I want my first image to take 3 columns, that means it starts at 1 and it goes at 4. Then this one here, then this guy here, it starts at 4, it span to 5, to 6, and to 7. So it starts at 4 and it ends at 7. And then my big images that is taking 6 columns start at 7, it ends at 13. Even though I have 12 columns, well, when I will be applying the formatting each of them, I will say you start at 7 and you end at 13. So how do we do that? Well, this is why I have, all of those stuff here, all of those classes. So let me go here. Let's start by my image 1 here. And I will format my image 1 to say, okay, you know what? Image 1, okay? You can go grid column start and grid column end. This is one way to do it. Let's do it. Let's do it like that here. Grid, because I want you to understand like easy stuff first. So it start at first and then grid column and it end at 4, we said, because it's the first one. Okay, so how did that work out for that first one? Okay, start at 1 and goes at, yeah, okay, fair enough, we're good. And this is why you need a wireframe for that. You really need a wireframe for that, because otherwise, believe me, you'll get lost. Okay, let's continue with my second images here. Image 2. Here, what did we said? We said that it was going from 4 to 7. Okay, there's like, if you use grid column here, this is what I wanted to show you. Grid, yeah, column here. It's much more easy because your first number will be where it starts / and then your second number will be where it ends. See, it's kind of more easy here. So 4 to 7. And this here, the last one, this is where you'll see that you'll see image 3 here. The third image, we said that grid column, here, grid column, it was starting at 7, where we let the other guy, and go up until 13, right? Okay, 7 up to 13. So this is good. But then what I wanted is I wanted my other images to go underneath here. So you see, because now these images is pushing down the images. And so let's say my image 3, let me just go to my mockup quickly, to my wireframe. I would like my image 3 to be there and my image 4 to be there. Let's see, let's try and format it together. Okay, so if I go image 4 here and grid, it will be basically the same thing, the first one, right? It goes to the first one, to the fourth one, and then same thing for my image 5, right? Same. Image 5 will be the same of my second images here. Okay, right. So let's see how does that turn out for us. Okay, so it's working. Image 4 is there, image 5 is there, but I want those two there to take that empty space. Grids create automatic column. So I will need to give my grid instruction how I want the row to behave. Like now I was just on the column, like first column, second column, third column. Now I need the row to behave in some way. If I don't say nothing, there's just one row, and this big image is at the end. Well, since it's taking half of the page and it have a square ratio or a rectangle ratio, well, it pushes the whole thing. This is not what I want. So let me go back here. to my image one and say, okay, you image one, okay, grid row start. Okay, so if I go grid row start, for instance, where would you start? You will start at 1. Yeah, you will start at 1, and then grid row end, grid row end. Where will you end? This is where it's a bit more complicated there. Okay, so if I'm saying that it's taking, like, I have a 12 column, it's taking 3 there. I want some sort of a square, so it means that it will be 3 row high, right? So 3 here. Okay, then I'll go the same thing with my second images here, and as with the grid column, I could just go grid row, same thing. My first digit will be where it start, and digit will be where it stop. See, so right away here I created space. It's not getting there yet because I have to give them instruction, those end here. I have to go to my image 3 here and say where I would like them to be. Okay, so let's go. I go with my image 3 here, grid row here, and I would like you to go on 3 and then 6, right? And same thing for that here, because those are row here, they'll be on the same row here. Did I? Yes, grid row 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes, here it is. Okay, so now I have this stuff here where I have this one taking this row, this one taking this row, this one taking this row. This one, I haven't said anything, so I have to go back here. This is my image 3, and it's taking more row, my image 3, right? Because it's starting from 1 here, but it's going up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, because it's a bigger one. So grid row 1, 2, 6. Yes. See, this is how you go. Okay, so you format the whole thing. I won't go live with you. Format the whole thing up until it's according to the Masonry grid that you would like to that you will have to hide. Some fine tuning on my grid just by adding those lines. So I locate all the figure on my here on my book here, books figure, and then what it does here is by saying that it's kind of make them fit better in the layout, you know, because they are positioned relatively to their parent. They are inline block, so you know they're not like big block, and the cursor is a pointer. So what is make it when I go over them, you know, I have a pointer, which will be useful once we'll get to the script where we could have like animation over them. And for our work, it's more interesting to get them over. I could always also go there, and since there's a big gap already, because of the format, I will reduce the gap to 0 because there's already a big gap. But that is, you know, because there's no choice to have a gap. If I have this one taking this amount of column, this one taking this amount of column, and then this format, well, you know, logically I'm going with gap like that. So I have my Masonry grid that is formatted like that. You will have your own also according to your your own way. We have our grid that behave the way we want. Okay, so it's a Masonry grid. Now what we'll do is we'll take care of those social icon on the bottom and the credit line. So remember, we created a social class here, and we created a credit classes here. It does not exist in my original, so let's go and create social here, boom. And since it's a line, we'll go and we want each icon to take one space. We'll display as a flex box. So just by saying display flex here, what it does is it's putting them in a container. Now we have to tell that container how to behave, of course. We'll do the same thing for our credit. So let's say dot credit here. Let's say that credit here, and we'll just display it normal as a block because it's a block. Let's just make it center. So if I go in my margin, I go 0 and auto. My first value will be top and bottom, and my second will be left and right instead of go margin left, margin right, blah blah blah. So that way, it's my website for credit is center. But of course, I have to go and text align, and I have to center my text, of course, because otherwise it won't be center at all. So there we go. This is center. Now I have to go and customize my social. All of this social thing. So I'll go, and my social, it's a flex box, so I'll align my item in the center, so that will be good. And they behave like text, those icons, because they are like font. So text align center will be a good step. So in justify content center will also be justifying content. Like the first one will align them vertically, and the second one will align them horizontally. So if we go in our example here, right away they come and they are in the center. Of course, they are all close and clustered, and we don't want that, but that's very easy. We just have to put a certain gap around the item, which in the terms of that, we'll just go and we'll create another here, social. We'll create another category that will be for all of my individual link, social A. And then, oh no, FA will even be better. FA, because it will locate my font awesome item in my Flexbox. And then if I go and I put a padding here, let's say 12 pixels, it will create a padding. Of course, I have to create a font size for that because I want them to be a certain size. Let's say I go with 3 AM here. So then my my FA will be the way I want. So yeah, so I have my FA that are centered, and because I've put a padding, the distance. Then you could adjust that. Of course, you know, you could go like my color, you know, and then you go color here, color gray here, and then they become gray, and you could customize the whole social media line. But that's basically how you put all of your social icons in a line. Now, in order to create my second page, which makes it that when I click to this image, I come to this page, and yeah, and then, you know, it's the link between this page and the other page, of course. What I will gonna do is I'm gonna take the same page, my index, and I'm gonna use just this grid as a layout tool to make this pages, except that in this pages, this image will take half of the grid and the text will take half of the grid. So we go there. I'll just go in my index pages that I created previously. And yes, I'll make sure that my logo is pointing up to my index. If I haven't done that, I'll just create a all around my logo, right? And in my A, while it's opening, I'll go href and I'll go index.html so that my logo point out to my index.html. I'll take my first image and I'll have this first image click to story1.html. It's not populating because it's not created yet. So I'll take my index, I'll go file, save as, and this will be my story1.html created from my index. Okay, so if I look at this page, The title remain the same, but there's no text like that after in my story one. Then I'm going to go in this grid and I'm going to keep this image there, but I'm going to get rid of all of the other figure because in this page it's not like that. To place my text, so here I have a grid, right? I have a grid, and then I have one figure here, and I'm going to create another div here, class, let's name it story here, and let's close that div. I'm going to put my first paragraph here and my second paragraph of text there. So let me just copy and paste that for quick demonstration. There we go. And I have my text is there, first paragraph and second paragraph. So far, what do we have in the story pages? This is once it's done here. So what do we have? We have, when we go there, we click there. And of course, it's not done yet. My image is taking just like few columns. And my figure there, it's taking just few columns also. So I wanna make it so that it's split half of the page. Several ways to do, but probably the simplest one will be to create a new CSS rule. I'll go with story left here. Yes, and then I'll go with story right. So that way I have both sides here, story left and story right. And then I'm gonna rename that class story left. You know, you can go both ways. I'm gonna rename that story left and then story right here for my class here, for instance. Okay, so let's rename both of them. And then let's take the class EM out because I would not want my images in my story left to behave as my images in my grid. Okay, so far doesn't change a lot of things, but I'm just gonna customize that, and I'm gonna say that my story left here as grid column is taking half of the screen, 1 to 7. And then my story right here is taking the other left, which is, yeah, 7 to 13 here. Let's see how that turned out for our pages. Exactly, it was what I just wanted to do. And then you just need to format that here. So in order to format, well, you know how it goes. You know, you have your story right. We could go right like this and just go text align and just align it left. And there's a title here. So I'll just go and I'll create a H2 for my title that I will format, you know, yes, that I will format Miss American Pageant here, that I will format here, and so on and so forth. So as for formatting, you know how it goes. You can go and just go here and format whatever you have in your stuff. So story right P, let me put a P here so you know that I'm talking about all the paragraph in it here. I'll better have create a new story right P, text align left. I'll put all of my attribute here. It will be better off like that. Yeah, and then same thing for my H2, story right H2. Yep. And then I can go with, you know, what I want for my title, font size, etc., etc., and format the way I want this part of my text. But basically, I have now my 2 pages that are created. So I am ready to format it in a mobile version.